Hello beautiful people and welcome to another video. This is the second episode of the mini-series Can I Make It Awesome? The idea for this series is to find an old piece of furniture that's tired, in this case badly stained, and upgrade it and make it look even better than it was originally. Let's see what I can do with this one. As you can see, the top is badly damaged and has lots of water stains, so it will need to be completely redone. But I have a plan to make it look a bit more fancy by adding something to this top. I'll need to take it off before I do anything with it, which shouldn't be too difficult because it's only attached with some screws. That was easy. The underside is in perfect condition, it just needs to be cleaned out, but I'll need to fix these edges. And as far as the top, this all needs to be stripped down and sanded and refinished. This is veneer, so I'm going to scrape it because I don't want to sand through the veneer because I'm a professional. I sharpened the blade on my scraper to make the job easier, and I got right to it. And for a change, the varnish didn't fight back and it was actually fairly easy to scrape it off. I'm actually pretty surprised because it looks like most of it was in the varnish. Let's see what this looks like when it's wet. Wouldn't that be amazing if all the stains were gone just by scraping this? And guess what? It actually was. I think this is the first time ever when I worked on something stained as badly as this was and I didn't have to bleach it. When I was done with that, I used this profile sanding block thingy. I'm not sure what's the proper name, but it made it actually pretty simple to sand these edges that were rounded. I think I'm gonna do only a little bit of sanding because this isn't terribly damaged and I want to blend it in with this existing veneer, so I don't need to redo the whole thing because there is simply no need for that. So I'm only going to use 220 grit sandpaper and a sponge. I've decided that it's actually easier to just tape it off and redo this whole thing instead of blending. Alright, so here's the plan. If you're a regular viewer, you know that I've worked with Xtool for quite a long time. They don't sponsor me, they don't pay me, but they do send me their machines whenever they come out with one. And you might have seen some videos of people working with lasers, but the machine that I've got right now is an absolute game changer, especially for people who are not into lasers or are not very technical. And I'm going to use it to create a very cool design on the top of this coffee table. I'm going to sand it with 180 grit because I don't want to go through the veneer. And also there is not a lot of sanding left because I scraped off the varnish. I'm actually pretty surprised how nice this looks, and I haven't even finished sanding it. I don't think I'll need to bleach it at all. I think this will be fine. As far as the base, as you would expect, most of the damage is on the outside, so I will sand it, but I think I'll be able to just clean the inside and refresh it, because those slats are in a pretty good condition. Well, it turns out that's not gonna happen and I will need to sand it, but that's okay. This is probably a bit more sanding that I need to do, but there's a little bit of damage on here, so I'm going to sand this bit as well, because I'm a professional. Alright, I think I've done all the sanding that I wanted to do. Just in time for a cat break. What's up? Looks like Hugo, my neighbor's cat, stopped by to say hi and probably get some cuddles and a snack. You're wet. Do you want a snack or just cuddles? I'm gonna give the base a proper clean, and I think this will do the trick. I'm gonna mix hydrogen peroxide with a little bit of ammonia. As you can imagine, this is incredibly stinky, so I'm wearing a mask. So this foaming that you can see, that's basically hydrogen peroxide doing its thing on dirt. And if you're old school, you might remember using hydrogen peroxide on wounds. At least this is something that I did when I was a kid. It's not a thing anymore in healthcare, but it works very well. This will also kill any bacteria or anything that's on it. I'm going to put this on the rest of this because hydrogen peroxide will bleach it a little bit and also clean any stains. As you can see, this worked absolutely perfectly. Very happy with this, it looks great. And as you can see, this is what it will look like with the finish on, even if I don't stain it. So the color looks basically as if I didn't scrape it. So if you watch my videos, you have probably seen me work with lasers before. I just got this ginormous X2 laser a couple days ago, and it was a struggle to put it in my house. As you can see, this is absolutely huge, and it takes half of this room. But it's got some really cool features which will make the project I'm working on right now possible. It's got a conveyor belt, and it will basically pull it through as it's engraving on it or cutting. And this will allow me to put a large object like this coffee table top through this and engrave on the entire surface, which I wouldn't be able to do normally. This is 80-watt laser. I'm not gonna get into all the technical jargon. You can look it up, or you can watch a video by someone who likes to do laser reviews. This is just not something I do. But what's important is that this is very powerful, and it's also very smart. And it's got a brand new feature which I've never seen before. If you're one of those people who are not very technical and you struggle to work with tools like this because of all of those adjustments and things that you need to do to get the perfect result, this puppy will do most of the work for you. Let's say I want to engrave something on this piece of plywood that's inside. All I need to do is open the lid. This little light turns green, which means this camera has captured a photo of this entire surface. And when I close it, I can see it in the software. And then if I want to engrave something on it, I can apply the settings and it will automatically know how thick it is because it's measured it. It can see where it is. I don't need to do anything. As you can see, this whole platform is automatic and it's movable. So the machine will adjust the focus of the laser so it's perfect and you don't need to do anything about it. But because the tabletop is too big for the laser, I'm going to install the conveyor belt, which goes in here. And this way I'll be able to put the tabletop through the laser and it will just engrave it on the entire surface. I've got a minor problem, actually a major one. I just realized that I need to cut these bits off, otherwise I won't be able to put it through the feeder. There are rollers that will press this down and they need to grab onto something. And if this is higher than the rest of it, it's not gonna work, so it needs to be completely flat. So I'm gonna cut these off and I'll reattach them later.
A few moments later.
Surprisingly, this actually turned out for the best. I've been able to cut this off absolutely perfectly without taking any of this wood off. And as it turns out, this is actually pressed wood. I mean, not this, but what's underneath this veneer, which isn't great, but it isn't surprising. I think this is actually one of those things that will make it easier in a way. All right, let's do it. I have not tried using this conveyor belt, so this is probably not the best idea to just try it on the top without testing it on anything else, but what can possibly go wrong? It's taking picture of the whole thing. I've changed my mind again, and I'm going to do this design.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
As I've mentioned already, I've used many different lasers, and this one has an external extraction fan, and it's absolutely amazing. You cannot smell anything at all, and this is why I'm actually able to use this in my house. And for people who are not able to ventilate outside, there is a new special filter that you can get, and it's super powerful as well. It's actually pretty funny because hydrogen peroxide and ammonia did such a good job cleaning this that I can see lots of imperfections and scratches that I couldn't see before. So I'm going to quickly sand this off camera. This is what it looks like straight out of the laser. I need to clean it up a little bit because the veneer is very thin, so basically I lasered through the veneer and you can see the pressed wood underneath, which has different texture and there's nothing wrong with it, but I think I want to paint this. Well, let's give it a go. By the way, if you want to get this P3 laser or any other laser from X2, I'll put a link in the description so you can get yourself a great deal. Because this engraving is quite deep, I'll be able to put a piece of paper on something flat and basically sand over the edges without touching the paint, and I think that way I'll be able to clean it up nicely and get really nice sharp edges. So this is what it's looking like, and I think I'm gonna let this dry and I'll do one more coat so the color is more solid. I'm gonna make it a little easier for myself and I'll just tape around the edges so I can do it quicker. And yes, I probably should have done it the first time, but I didn't think about it. And also, I'm gonna have to do some sanding anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I quite like the color, but I think with second coat will make it look more even. By the way, I don't think I have said that, but this is brass paint, so it's got little bits of brass in it. This is definitely much easier. So now I just need to do a little bit of, or a lot of sanding, and Bob's your uncle. As always, just a quick shout out to all the channel members. You guys are the best, and thank you to everyone for watching my videos. It means a lot, and even though I don't get a chance to reply to every single comment, I do read them and I appreciate them. Thank you. And for anyone feeling generous and wanting to go the extra mile to support what I do, you can find all the links in the description of this video. Thank you. In case it wasn't clear what I was doing, I used one of those centering jig thingies, so I can drill holes exactly in the center of the side of this tabletop. And now I'm using a stopper so I don't drill too deep, and the dowels stick out just enough so I can actually attach the sides that I cut off previously. But I think it will make sense in a minute once I actually start doing it. Oh, and these pointy thingies, you basically use them to transfer the holes onto the other surface that you want to attach, and they are exactly where they need to be, so then the dowels actually work. In other words, this will make sure that the holes lined up, otherwise the dowels won't work. And now all I need to do is to apply some glue, put in the dowels, line up the other piece, give it a smack with the hammer, and Bob's your uncle. Oh, and before I do that, I'm just measuring how much of the dowel sticks out so I can drill the corresponding hole on the other piece. Because if the hole isn't too deep, the piece won't be close enough for the glue to work, if it makes sense. And if it's too deep, I'm just gonna drill through that piece, and we don't want that. That wouldn't be very professional, would it? And would you look at that? No one will ever know, unless they've seen the video, obviously. Perfect. In case you're wondering, the reason this pattern isn't symmetrical and it's got this little thing added on one end but it doesn't have it on the other, it's absolutely not because I didn't put it in the center as I was engraving it. Wink wink. There was a little bit of squeeze out after clamping, so I'm using a small wet brush to clean up the glue. And now I can start staining. And I'm using light oak, which is very unusual. I almost never use it because if you use it on something like oak, it will make it yellow or orange, and I just really don't like that color. But because this wood isn't very light, it actually makes it look very nice and I think very close to what it originally looked like. In other words, this looks like something between teak and mahogany, if it makes sense. But I mean, you can see what it looks like. It's definitely not orange. This is a spirit-based stain and I've been using it for a long time. They are very easy to work with and I was pretty happy with the result. They are made by Morels, but if you don't have one where you live or you don't live in the UK, you can buy them on eBay. Even though there was nothing wrong with the bottom, I did apply stain to it just to refresh it and make the color pop. And when I was done with that, I stained the other side, and yes, I'm staining the whole thing, including the painted bits, and as you can see, they will change color a little bit, but it will actually help everything blend together, so it will still look nice and it will still look brassy. I let the stain dry properly and then I applied multiple coats of clear lacquer, because I wanted to get the same look as this would originally have, which was pretty typical for mid-century modern furniture. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you liked what I did with the tabletop. As I mentioned, you can get one of the lasers using my link in the description. For the next video, I've got something really beautiful, very old, and it's entirely made from solid oak, which never happens. Usually it's just some combination of veneer, plywood and whatever, so I'm pretty excited for that one. And you won't need to wait for it very long, because I'll have it for you within a week. Thank you again for watching this video, enjoy the final results and see you in the next one.